Right now at 6, emergency crews respond to a rollover crash near Joplin's Regional Airport.
And breezy conditions out there, not quite as breezy as a, what was it, moldy piece of pizza? We'll have a look at that forecast to get you out the door coming up.
Plus, what a ballot mistake means for some early voters in southeast Kansas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner, also a tornado.
Yes.
This is, so you folks at home, 2 things if you're just joining us. 1, I will not be here for Halloween, so we're doing costumes early.
Yes.
2, you folks at home voted. We had a poll on what Elise and I should be for Halloween, and you guys picked Dorothy and a tornado. Now, Elise and our digital producer Peyton managed to put together what been referenced now as a moldy piece of pizza.
And now I can't even unsee it.
But it's a tornado, okay? That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it smells nice. They made it with fabric softener sheets, so it smells very fresh.
Amazing.
The freshest tornado ever.
Yes.
Or the freshest smelling moldy piece of pizza ever.
Take your pick.
Not sure which. Well, let's take a look outside, and we'll talk about what we've got to get you out the door this morning. We're going to start with our camera in downtown Pittsburgh. We are looking pretty good out there. We've got mostly clear skies to start. That will not last, but we at least do have those mostly clear skies to start across the region. Our camera at 7th and Range Line looking pretty good as well this morning, as is the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line this morning. We'll take one more stop. The KDOT camera 69 in East 520th Avenue, of course, just south of Pittsburgh, looking good as well. We do have wind advisories out there now because, again, we have 5 different National Weather Service offices that cover our area. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. This time they don't. Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties in Kansas, southwest Missouri, and northeast Oklahoma, all of these run through 8 this evening. The rest of southeast Kansas, they run until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And again, it's with good cause. Like we saw overnight last night and into this morning, the winds did not ease up, and they will not tonight either. We're looking at gusts, though, across the region, anywhere from 40 to 50 miles an hour. We will be warm again, but not quite record-breaking warm. And the future track again, about trying to pick up on maybe a sprinkle or 2, but the rain chances today less than 10%. Partly to mostly cloudy skies, eventually becoming mostly cloudy as we head into the overnight hours. We're sitting at 71 in Joplin as well as Pittsburgh and across the area. Remember, we should be in the upper 40s this time of year, so we're 25 degrees above average out there. Many of us upper 60s and low to mid 70s as we start our Tuesday. Kids getting on the bus this morning. We are looking to be about upper 60s. Again, winds this morning gusting 30 to 40. And when that bus brings them home, partly to mostly cloudy skies, those winds gusting upwards of around 40, potentially 50 miles an hour. And we're looking at about 80 degrees. So again, still above normal today. We'll be going into the low to mid 80s out there, but maybe not breaking as many records as we did yesterday. And much like yesterday, though, partly to mostly cloudy skies, very windy. The winds continue tonight and tomorrow. We've got that cold front. It's going to bring us showers, thunderstorms, some of which could be severe. We'll take a more in-depth look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes. Dorothy?
All right, don't blow away, Chris. We'll see you soon. Well, Joplin authorities had to use the jaws of life to rescue a 19-year-old driver following a rollover crash late Sunday night. Now, the crash happened just after 11 near the General Aviation Terminal entrance of the Joplin Regional Airport. Now, JPD says a pickup crossed all lanes of traffic before striking a stone fence and tree before coming to a rest on its side. Now, the driver was trapped inside the cab of the crashed pickup, and the driver was rushed to an area hospital. Well, those high winds helped fuel a fast-moving grass fire yesterday evening. The fire spread south of Ivy Road and Country Road 197 outside Carthage. 20 to 30 mile per hour winds pushed the fire quickly with gusts of up to 45 miles per hour. The National Weather Service had issued a wind advisory earlier for Barton, Jasper, McDonald, Newton, and Vernon counties in southwest Missouri. Just after 7, the fire was declared contained as it had burned to the Ruby Jack Trail and simply ran out of grass to burn. This was the 3rd and largest grass fire of the day for Carthage Fire. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, You can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, a mistake on some southeast Kansas ballots means some early voters might not be finished voting. Voters in Neosho County, Kansas are voting for judges this election season after early ballots left them off. Now, according to the Neosho County Clerk's Office, drafted ballots did include judges, but when they went to print, the back side was not included. Now, the mistake wasn't noticed until the second day of early voting. The county clerk's office created an amendum ballot until corrected ballots could arrive. And for those voters who cast their ballots before the mistake was realized, they will still have the opportunity to vote for the judicial positions.
No one is voting twice for the twice at all or twice for the same races. Absolutely not. No, everyone was provided one chance to vote for each race. They're getting mailed just those judges' races that they should have received in the first place.
The Neosho County Clerk's Office has now received corrected ballots that will be used from now on for both early voting and the general election day on November 5th. And early voting begins this week in the state of Oklahoma. In-person absentee voting kicks off Wednesday at 8 a.m. and runs through this Friday, November 1st, for the November 5th general election. No excuse is needed to vote early, but voters must provide proof of identity when checking in at their early voting site. You can head over to KOAMnewsnow.com/elections for a full list of polling places and voting sites in your area. Well, as Election Day nears, officials in Jasper County, Missouri want to remind voters this state has electioneering laws. Now, these laws include a no electioneering zone within 25 feet of a polling site, and this means a ban on clothing, buttons, or signs that promote a political candidate or stance within that area. Voters found in violation, such as wearing a shirt that breaks electioneering laws, will be asked by poll workers to change or to turn their shirt inside out.
What we will do is we will ask them if they're wearing a hat or button. Sir, you know, the law says that you cannot electioneer. Most everybody does this. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally forgot. So most people are kind like that. Every once in a while you get somebody who's a little bit belligerent saying, it's my First Amendment right and I don't have to do what you say. Well, the law says no electioneering, so they cannot wear that at the polls.
Now, the objective behind these regulations is to ensure a hassle-free voting environment. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. JP Morgan Chase is now suing its customers. It says took part in a check fraud scheme that went viral on TikTok. Plus, Election Day is now exactly 1 week away, and both candidates prepare their closing statements. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Tuesday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from the depot in Cheney, Kansas. Topping Nation Watch this morning. The world's biggest bank is going after a handful of alleged fraudsters. You may remember over the summer a scheme involving Chase Bank's ATMs blew up on TikTok. Now, it went like this. People deposited large checks that were fraudulent and immediately withdrew money before the checks could bounce. A temporary glitch at the bank allowed them to withdraw much more than it usually advanced on checks that haven't cleared. Now, JP Morgan is suing 4 customers it says owe nearly $662,000 collectively. The bank says one of them owes $291,000. Now, so far, none of them have paid back the money. Chase is also seeking legal fees and other expenses from the defendants. Election Day is now exactly 1 week away. Today, Vice President Kamala Harris is getting ready to make her closing arguments at the Ellipse in Washington, which was also the site where former President Donald Trump made his January 6th speech ahead of the Capitol insurrection. Now, Trump will hold a news conference in Florida before heading to Allentown, Pennsylvania, a city with a sizable Puerto Rican population. Now, it comes just days after a comedian's lewd jokes about Puerto Rico overshadowed Trump's big Madison Square Garden rally. Jared Hill reports from Beaver County, Pennsylvania.
Wake up, everybody.
Monday night, hundreds packed an arena in Philadelphia as one of Vice President Kamala Harris's biggest surrogates made a case to voters.
Together we have a chance to choose a new generation of leadership in this country.
Some left offended by comments and jokes made during former President Donald Trump's New York City rally, including a comedian calling Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage.
They're making fun of our people in our island. Puerto Rico es una trash.
Former President Donald Trump in battleground Georgia made no mention while unleashing new attacks on Vice President Harris.
She's a hater. She was a lousy attorney general. She's a fascist, okay?
But he pushed back on being labeled a Nazi by some Democrats.
I'm the opposite of a Nazi.
There are about 300,000 eligible Puerto Rican voters here in Pennsylvania, and some are slamming the controversy ahead of Trump's plans to visit the Keystone State today.
Fans the fuel of hate and division, and that's why people are exhausted with him.
In Michigan yesterday, Harris focused on the economy at a semiconductor plant and on the youth vote near the University of Michigan.
We here are fighting for the future.
Though she was heckled at a rally over another top issue, the war in Gaza.
We all want this war to end as soon as possible.
You just can't ask us to vote for genocide, and it's a terrible position to be in.
Harris is facing a possible split among Michigan's sizable Arab American community over the war in what remains a tight race. Jared Hill, CBS News, Beaver County, Pennsylvania.
Now, according to the University of Florida's election lab, more than 47 million early ballots have already been cast in this year's election. Yesterday, President Joe Biden joined that number after he returned to his home state of Delaware to cast his ballot. But out west in Oregon and Washington state, federal investigations are underway after 2 election drop boxes were set on fire, destroying hundreds of early ballots. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we're going to start with the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Now, again, this morning we've got mostly clear skies. We've got just a few clouds here and there, but if you look off to the west and southwest, we've got another round of partly to mostly cloudy skies on the way. Breezy and warm as well. Now look at your forecast when we come back.
Well, students in Asheville, North Carolina returned to school Monday, just over a month since Hurricane Helene hit the area. And one of the biggest hurdles of getting kids back to class is to access to clean water. Taylor Thompson has those details.
Monday was filled with a lot of mixed emotions.
There's been joy, students getting back to the building, seeing their teachers, lots of happiness. Then as we started kind of talking with our students, there's some sadness.
For students who have lost family members or dealing with damaged homes.
Community-wide tragedy, and schools provide a safe space for our students, so as soon as we could get back, that's what we wanted to do.
But the biggest barrier to get to that was, of course, water. Furman says their original thought was to get enough bottled water for every student to be able to have at least a liter.
When we started calculating the number of pallets for the high school alone, it would be 30 pallets of water.
Thankfully, they were able to connect with Water Mission.
They are a nonprofit organization that sets up water resources in devastated areas.
This partnership is what's allowing the district to get back to a regular school day quicker.
Now we can process about 10,000 gallons of water a day.
Assistant Principal Tiger Norman walked us through how.
Filters out the water that Asheville City is pumping to our campus. And so it goes through a whole process here that once it filters out the chlorine and all the other bad things that's in the water, that we get to drop them into these 250-gallon jugs full of drinkable water.
For Monday and Tuesday, the district is relying on bottled water to be open, with the plan for the filtration system to be ready to go by Wednesday and will be in place for as long as needed.
Asheville City Schools will resume normal operations on Wednesday. That includes all after-school programs and sports. Now let's check in with Chris for a quick look at the forecast.
Yeah, it's going to be another warm and breezy day out there. We'll have another look at that forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 6:21 now on this Tuesday morning. We're starting with the wind advisories. And again, 5 different weather service offices cover our zone. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. They do not today. Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties, and southwest Missouri, as well as northeast Oklahoma. Wind advisories through 8 tonight. The rest of southeast Kansas until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And either way you paint it, it's going to be windy. It was windy yesterday. It was windy overnight. Still is and will still be today, tonight, and on Wednesday as well, with those gusts pushing 40 to 50 miles an hour. That's 40 to 50 miles an hour. That's winds that can potentially bring down some small limbs, especially now we're heading into fall. The trees are kind of, wrapping up their season. So it could lead to sporadic power outages and maybe minor limbs being blown down. So that's something to keep in mind, on top of it blowing your car around as well. And of course, spreading fires rapidly. And we had a number of those yesterday after we told you don't do anything like that. So please don't. You'll have time to do your bonfires and everything else once we get into Thursday and Friday, but not today, not tomorrow, please. And this is why. Look at these winds, not easing up through the evening. Still 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Overnight, 40, 45, 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts again. And it will continue into our Wednesday in that same 40 to 50-mile-an-hour zone for most of us ahead of that cold front that once it pushes through, the winds are going to begin to ease up for us. We just got to get through today and tomorrow before you can do your bonfires or whatever it is you're doing out there. Just don't do it today or tomorrow. Future track, again, an isolated sprinkle or 2 possible today. Less than a 10% chance out there. We're going to be like yesterday, partly to mostly cloudy, warm, breezy. But we're not looking to set record highs today. Many of us set records yesterday with temperatures near 90 degrees. That's not going to be the case today. Then we head into Wednesday, mostly cloudy, still breezy. It's going to be a little cooler, but not by much and still well above normal. Could see an isolated shower or storm ahead of the main front. If we get any organized thunderstorm activity ahead of the front, some of that could be severe on its own, so it's something to keep an eye on. So here we are at 5, could see these isolated storms in southeast Kansas. By 6, 7 o'clock, here comes that cold front, and it starts to push on through. So by 8, already through Yates Center. Now lined up from about Fort Scott, Chinook, Fredonia, down northwest of Bartlesville, and by 10 o'clock, it's rolling through the Joplin-Pittsburgh metro area, so it's knocking on Joplin's back door into Pittsburgh, Lamar, Nevada, Fort Scott, Miami, Veneta, and by midnight, it races on out to the east. So now we're dealing with the backside of these thunderstorms from Joplin, Lamar, Stockton, Monette, Anderson, Cassville, and these storms could be strong to severe. Now by sunrise Thursday, they are gone. By noon Thursday, look at this. Low to mid 50s for many of us out there. It's going to be considerably colder, but it'll be seasonably colder. Still looking at maybe 1 to 2 inches of rainfall possible out there. Of course, those amounts will be refined, but as we've been talking about, we still have the elevated risk of strong to severe thunderstorms across the entire region as we head into Wednesday evening. This has been the same way. It has been unchanged now for 3 days. So confidence is relatively high in severe weather occurring. Now, all hazards do appear possible. It does include a risk for an isolated tornado or 2. Greater concerns, though, with very large hail and winds gusting 70, 80 miles an hour. So we're talking non-thunderstorm winds ahead of the front at 50, thunderstorm winds at 70 or so out there. All right, let's take a look at what we're expecting the rest of the day. Again, low to mid 80s. About 80 tomorrow, 48 for the low 60s on Halloween, 40 for the low, that on Halloween night, so do be prepared to bundle up. Temperatures remain seasonable into the weekend and next week with some additional, much-needed shower and thunderstorm chances. That is a check of your forecast. We're going to send it over to Lisa now with Health Watch.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, as many as half of Medicare beneficiaries can't afford even a single hospital visit. Now, a report published in the Annals of Internal Medicine found many people would face severe financial hardships after reaching the Medicare hospital deductible of $1,600. Now, the report suggests more needs to be done to help people with moderate or low incomes pay their medical bills. Well, using cannabis while pregnant can lead to cognitive and emotional problems in children down the line. A study published in JAMA Pediatrics found children exposed to cannabis while in the womb had more difficulty controlling their impulses, problems paying attention, and showed more aggressive behavior. Doctors say you should avoid cannabis use during pregnancy. Now, children with an abnormal body mass index may develop impaired lung function. A study out of Sweden found that either a BMI that's too high or too low can be linked to lung issues as children grow up. But some experts argue BMI is an inaccurate measurement of overall health. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, Outreach Therapy in Joplin invites families out to see the new pediatric clinic.
And while it's windy out there, while it's windy out there, it's going to be another warm and breezy day today. We'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus an update on the Miami Senior Center after the city took control of the facility and its finances.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:29. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. So again, if you're just joining us, if you've been with us, then you know what's going on.
Yes.
But if you haven't, you guys voted. We had a poll of what Elise and I should be for Halloween. Now we're doing it now because I am off for Halloween. So we have Dorothy.
Yes, of course.
And the tornado. She's got Toto somewhere.
I got Toto right here.
Around here. There. We are still in Kansas, though.
Yes, we are.
So
Obviously, there's no place like home.
I'm not a good tornado, though. I should have taken you to Oz by now, I feel, but I have not done that yet.
Still got time.
It's gonna be. Okay. All right. Hold on. I got it. Okay. It's story time. Okay.
Okay.
Story time. Yeah, we have a good story.
Like how
It
the
even
tornado
says so
almost
right
took
there in the
you.
prompter.
Story
It's
time,
story
yes.
time. It's story time.
Yes.
So, because Halloween's coming up, and I wanted to share this with you all because it was great. Our oldest, Trinity, she's 13. She wanted to go to her first spook house,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Okay, so that's what we did. We had to go to Wolfman's House of Screams. I've been there, it's been a long time. I know the jump scares are going to get you.
Right.
I'm doing fine. Unfortunately for her, it didn't go so well.
No.
Trinity, you're okay.
No, actually.
Hey, it's okay.
No, I don't like it.
Uh-oh, hold on.
No, it's not. I don't like this.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm with you.
No, I don't care.
I love her to death. I told her I'd embarrass her, but she lasted about 5 minutes.
Oh, they're
and thankfully,
terrifying.
The staff there was great. They
Yes.
walked us through the rest of it, but boy, she did not. It wasn't going. She said somebody with a bat touched her, and that was
Yes.
it. She was done at that point. So, but if you're looking for a good scare, lots of great spook houses out there.
Absolutely.
Still time to enjoy, and it's gonna again be breezy and warm today. Let's take a look outside real quick. This is our camera in downtown Pittsburgh. She's gonna hate me for this, but that's all right. Everybody can. She's really gonna hate me. We're looking good. We've got just a few clouds here and there. Same from our camera at 7th and Rangeline and the MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline in Joplin, and the KDOT camera. Well, wouldn't you know, it's about the same over at East 520th Avenue south of Pittsburgh. So again, wind advisories: Bourbon, Cherokee, Crawford counties in southeast Kansas, the rest of southwest Missouri, and Oklahoma until 8 tonight. The rest of southeast Kansas will run until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. We are looking at those winds once again today, gusting out of the south 40 to 50 miles an hour. We could see an isolated sprinkle again, but those chances less than 10% out there as we head through the rest of the day. Similar to yesterday, though, a little cooler, and by cooler I mean like 3 or 4 degrees cooler, as we deal with those partly to mostly cloudy skies. 71 in Joplin, 70 in Pittsburgh, and I want you to keep in mind when you look at these temperatures right now, we should be in the upper 40s this time of year, and we've got these temperatures into the upper 60s and low 70s, well above normal out there, but well above normal is going to come to an abrupt halt in the middle of this week. 68 when the kids get on the bus. We're looking at clear skies, maybe a cloud or two, winds gusting 30 to 40. And by this afternoon, partly to mostly cloudy skies, 80 when the bus brings them home, and those gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour. Partly to mostly cloudy skies out there, breezy, highs low to mid 80s. So we're not looking necessarily to break records like we did yesterday, but still unseasonably warm. Now Wednesday, that cold front comes in. It will be windy ahead of it, and it will be cooler behind it. And unfortunately, there's a severe threat with it. We'll go over all those details with you here in just a few more minutes. Dorothy?
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, the city of Miami, which recently took over the reins of the Miami Senior Center, is making efforts to improve the facility. Now, the city received a $75,000 grant to improve the building and layout of the center, including adding more kitchen space. The Miami City Attorney says there's been an uptick in interest and signups at the senior center. The Baxter Springs Police Department hosted a DARE graduation ceremony for 3 fifth grade classes yesterday. That ceremony took place at the Central Elementary School. And DARE, which stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education, is a 10-week program intended to give students the skills to help resist peer pressure to experiment with drugs and alcohol.
The program's not perfect. There's been times where I've had to arrest former DARE students because of choices they made. So the program's not perfect, but the way I look at it is the value and the price that you can put on one kid, on one child, and their life. And so if we can reach just one child through this program, it's worth every penny that we would spend on it.
The program also allows a DARE certified officer to spend time in the classroom during the program. Well, the Joplin School District is now accepting enrollment applications for 3 neighborhood-based preschool classrooms for 4-year-olds. The program is called Little Eagles Flight School. Now, students in Irving, Royal Heights, and Soaring Heights attendance zones will pilot the program. The goal is to help kids gain the skills necessary for kindergarten.
We had lots of kids come in and they weren't ready. They weren't socially ready. They weren't ready to take turns talking and getting along with their friends. So that is my goal for these guys. They can take turns talking, they can get along, they can problem solve.
Transportation services and breakfast and lunch options will also be provided. Well, Outreach Therapy in Joplin hosted a trick-or-treat event for kiddos yesterday. The new outpatient pediatric therapy clinic opens for business this Friday. Now, the clinic focuses on occupational speech and physical therapy needs for youth ages 3 to 17.
They can get it in First Steps, which is a wonderful program from 0 to 3 in the home, but once they turn 3, they can't get it. They can get it at the schools, but there's no outpatient facility that has a lot of room for them. So this is all pediatrics. There's swings, balls, rock walls, all kinds of things. We will serve kids with all types of disabilities.
McCullough worked in therapy for 30 years before opening her own clinic. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Dynarex is expanding its baby powder recall because they may be contaminated with asbestos. And we have a warm and windy day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from the depot in Chanute, Kansas. In Consumer Watch this morning, well, earlier this month, NOAA announced the world is experiencing the largest coral reef bleaching event on record. Now, back in March, the bleaching became apparent in the Maldives, an island country southwest of India. Wendy Gillette has more on how human activities threaten the country's sea life in today's Travel Tuesday from North Malay.
The serene, sandy shores of the Maldives don't reveal what's happening beneath the surface.
Oh, baby shark's here.
Saoirse Macklin is a marine biologist at Hurawali Resort, where she educates guests and conducts research on coral bleaching.
As a result of increased sea surface temperature, we're having very, very warm waters. And so a lot of our corals can become quite stressed as a result of this.
The stressed corals expel algae, causing them to turn white and can eventually die. The resort attaches coral fragments to structures in the seabed to foster reef restoration, including outside its underwater restaurant.
Although coral makes up about 1% of our ocean seafloor or environment, it's actually home to 25% of all known marine species. So it's a really important environment for a lot of our marine life.
Macklin first noticed major bleaching this spring, now part of the most extensive bleaching on record.
For me, as a marine biologist, it's very, very sad to see. It's also a little bit scary.
There's another threat to sea life in the Maldives. Fishing nets that drift from other countries that entangle and injure turtles. One and only Rithi Ra hosts a rehabilitation center to help them.
Fida is a patient. She lost both flippers on her right side, likely after getting entangled in a discarded net.
It's quite a big problem here.
Turtle biologist Abdullah Hamid cares for Fida,
She's hungry.
who has trouble with buoyancy, enticed with food to dive to the bottom of her tank. The resort, where we also stayed for a special rate, partners with the nonprofit Olive Ridley Project on a mission to protect sea turtles. Even without a trip to the Maldives, simple steps can help, including eating less fish, limiting plastic use, and choosing local foods.
If we are not going to protect the place that we live in, then who will?
Biologists see Fida making progress and hope to release her back into the wild. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, North Malé, the Maldives.
Now, Dynarex is expanding its baby powder recall by hundreds more cases because they may be contaminated with asbestos. The expansion affects Dynacare baby powder 14-ounce sizes with the product number 4875 and the 4-ounce size under item number 4874. Asbestos is naturally occurring minerals known to cause cancer and other health issues. No illnesses have been reported so far. Consumers are urged to throw away or return the recalled items for a full refund. Well, stocks and investing app Robinhood is now allowing its users to bet on the outcome of next week's presidential election between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. The company said yesterday that it's offering a limited number of contracts to people, all who must be U.S. citizens in order to participate. Robinhood's shares rose more than 3% for the day after the announcement. And Yankee Candle wants your home to smell like the holidays. With the season fast approaching, the company is releasing 2 new passport to the holidays and après-ski collections with fragrances and titles inspired by travel destinations and winter activities. Now, the new candles are available at Yankee Candle's website and retailers with prices starting around $12.99. Now that's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Candles are one of those things, or even air fresheners are one of those things where I've always wondered, I'm like, okay, a candle smells like apple, cinnamon, whatever. That makes sense. But how do you capture ocean breeze? Like, who comes up with that scent? How do you capture the scent of ocean breeze or salty beach, or what? They smell good. That's the thing, is these scents smell good. It's like, how do you figure that one out? I don't know. Well, we've got ourselves an ocean breeze of sorts. It's going to be another windy day out there. Our camera downtown Pittsburgh, we're looking good so far. Same from our camera at 7th and Range Line, as well as the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line. Got a few folks getting their day started out there, and same from the KDOT camera, 69 East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh. Wind advisories. Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties in Kansas, southwest Missouri, northeast Oklahoma through 8. This section of southeast Kansas, they'll run until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, as well as those winds once again through the day and overnight and into our Wednesday, gusting from 40 to 50 miles an hour. Future track again showing a sprinkle or two possible, but rain chances overall less than 10%. Day similar to yesterday, partly to mostly cloudy skies, gusty south winds, and temperatures not as warm as yesterday, but still well above normal as we go in the low 80s. 71 in Joplin right now, 70 in Pittsburgh. And again, remember, we're supposed to be in the upper 40s right now. We're nowhere near that. We've got upper 60s. We're 20 to 25 degrees above average, with most of us starting the day in the low 70s. Kids getting on the bus this morning, we're looking about upper 60s, mostly clear skies, winds gusting 30 to 40 out of the south. And then as we head into the afternoon, kids come home, 80. Winds gusting 40, potentially 50 miles an hour. We'll have another full look at your forecast, talk about the cold front and thunderstorm chances. We're also going to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries in a moment. But first, here's what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Omar Villafranca shares 3 meals with voters in Texas to learn what they hope to see before and after the election. Plus, find out what a local opera house is doing to bring a new audience into the theater. That is coming up on CBS Mornings.
All right, time for some Tuesday birthdays in the 4 states, and we are starting in Chetopa with Harvey P. celebrating birthday number 4. Says, happy birthday, Harvey, with love from Mom, Dad, Joe, Reba, Grandma, and Nana.
And over in Jasper, a happy 14th birthday to Baylor Rush.
And in Webb City, Colton Johnson celebrating birthday number 23. Happy birthday, Colton.
And heading over to Miami, a happy 24th birthday to Mackenzie Russian, who's pictured here as the girl in the zebra hat with love from Aunt Judy and Uncle Frank. Now, also in Miami, getting some love from Aunt Judy and Uncle Frank is Kiwi Russian, who's celebrating birthday number 25 today. There she is. Happy birthday.
Now, our sheet doesn't say how they're related, but I suspect they have to be. What are the odds that two of them have the same last name and the same aunt and uncle? Well, happy birthday to both Mackenzie and Kiwi. And we continue our list with Haley Pike celebrating a birthday in Nevada. It's number 28.
And a happy 90th birthday to Chris Geifer.
And in Crestline, our neighbor down there, Judy Ganaway celebrating another year wiser. Very happy birthday to you, Judy.
And continuing our list with the happy 18th anniversary in McCune to Davis and Ashley Omi.
And in Moran, we've got Tyler Mitchell celebrating birthday number 32. Says happy birthday from all of his family. Another lovely list of birthdays and anniversaries. Let's keep it going. Elise, give us some deets.
Go ahead and submit your birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com. Be sure to meet the deadline at the bottom of your screen when submitting and to, of course, include the day of your celebration.
Certainly want to do that. That way the celebration airs at the appropriate time. That's like the key thing. That'd be like if you celebrated the birthday just on a random day because you couldn't remember. Make sure you submit that information to us. All right, we've got some information for you. A lot to go over because we've got a busy few days. We were busy yesterday. We had all the wind advisories, red flag warnings. We don't have any red flag warnings today. That does not mean it is suddenly safe to burn, okay? It is not. We just don't have any red flag warnings today. We have a number of wind advisories, though. Now, again, 5 different National Weather Service offices cover our viewing area. As such, sometimes when it comes to local advisories, they don't always sync up. So Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties, southwest Missouri, and northeast Oklahoma. These wind advisories run through 8 this evening. For the bulk of southeast Kansas, they will run until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And it is going to be windy today. It is going to be windy tonight. It is going to be windy tomorrow as well ahead of a cold front. Winds today cross a good portion of the area, anywhere from 40 to 50 miles an hour. Now, the thing is the winds are all out of the south. That's the one easy part about the windy days is the winds are being consistent. They're out of the south, and it's not going to change until that cold front comes through. So again, driving any kind of vehicle really with 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, stay alert, hands on your wheel, and do not burn anything. We've had too many fires yesterday after we spent all morning alerting you to not do any kind of burning, not discarding anything flammable, and yet we had a number of fires yesterday that spread very quickly, so please do not do that. The winds will continue overnight, still 40, 50-mile-an-hour gusts. They will continue into our Wednesday, and still in that 40, potentially 50-mile-an-hour range, and then the cold front will come through. And take a look, there it goes. It sweeps through, and by sunrise Thursday, winds easing up considerably for Halloween. All right, today, very similar to yesterday. Again, future tracks showing maybe a sprinkle or two, but rain chances less than 10%. Will be warm, but maybe not necessarily record-breaking warm today as we go low mid-80s, partly to mostly cloudy skies, breezy. We'll go mostly cloudy overnight tonight, and for the majority of our Wednesday, we'll bring our temperatures down a wee bit. We're looking at highs topping out about 80 for most of us. We could see a stray shower or two ahead of the cold front, then a little closer to the cold front's arrival, we could see some isolated storm development ahead of that front into southeast Kansas. If we do, any of these isolated storms will have the capability of going severe on their own. So as early as 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow, we need to really be watching the skies, watching the weather. Make sure you got the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get us on KOAM Plus on our YouTube page. And of course, Doug Heddy will be here, and he'll be tracking these storms as they roll through. The cold front, by about 6, starts pushing into Yates Center. By 7, 8, it's now from just outside or right around Fort Scott, Chanute, Fredonia, Bartlesville. As this line continues, by about 10 is when it'll be rolling into Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, Nevada, Miami, Veneta, dealing with thunderstorms out there. Very gusty winds still ahead of that front. So non-thunderstorm wind gusts that we have to worry about. And then by about 10:30 or so, be pushing through Joplin, Lamar, and by midnight on the backside of this, Cassville, Monette, Stockton, maybe Joplin, Lamar, Anderson, still dealing with some scattered storms. And unfortunately, while we're going to get maybe 1 or 2 inches of rain, we still have that elevated risk for strong to severe thunderstorms on Wednesday evening. And those storms could bring the risk of an isolated tornado or two, but greater concerns right now are with very large hail and damaging wind gusts. All right, we're going to talk more about your forecast news you need to know in a moment. And when we switch over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., we're going to hear how a Nashville artist has created unique yard signs that are encouraging people to vote this election season.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. High winds helped fuel a fast-moving grass fire yesterday evening. And the fire spread south of Ivy Road and Country Road 197 outside Carthage. Now, just after 7, the fire was declared contained. This was the third and largest grass fire of the day for Carthage Fire. Well, Outreach Therapy Clinic opens for business this Friday. The clinic focuses on occupational, speech, and physical therapy needs for youth ages 3 to 17. Now, the clinic hosted a trick-or-treat event for kids yesterday. The city of Miami is making efforts to improve the facility of its senior center. The city received a $75,000 grant to improve the building and layout of the center, including adding more kitchen space. The Miami City Attorney says there's been an uptick in interest in signups at the senior center. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, again, winds gusting 40-50 miles an hour out of the south, partly to mostly cloudy skies, highs low to mid-80s. Gusty winds continue through the evening and overnight, mostly cloudy tonight, upper 60s, low 70s. And we have that cold front tomorrow, about 5 o'clock or so. It'll start generating thunderstorms, some of which could be strong to severe, so definitely keep an eye on that. We certainly will be. 80, much cooler for Halloween, but seasonably so, and more rain chances this weekend and next week.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making satisfying shepherd's pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, Kylie Vasquez from Tinsels and Terrors joins us in the studio to talk about what you can expect when you drop by for the event.
Plus, Charlene Patton joining us with another incredible recipe. And I want to point out,
yes,
for folks at home, the clip with our oldest, when she made it clear she did not want to proceed, we did not proceed. I know some folks probably think I was just being terrible. That's not the case. When she said she was done, we were done. Yes. And that was it. So we took her back out of there, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah, great that you took her.
Yeah, she wanted to go, and then she didn't anymore. Well, we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5.
And we'll see you today at noon.